So we are SMRS, so we're a culture brand on communications business. We've got a very short, very cringy video. That was hello, we're SMRS. Don't worry, guys, you've not missed out on much there, not being able to hear it. We'll just do a little, really quick intro on who we are. So that's fine. We'll just go on. Sorry, I can't get to the next slide from there. So we're based in Manchester with London offices too, which is quite unusual for a creative organisation. There's a lot in London, but it's really brilliant that there's such a creative powerhouse in the north as well. So we've been around for more than 25 years now, and we work with and we travel to clients all over the world. So Hafsa's just been to Malaysia about 2 weeks ago. I went to Lincoln. That was slightly less exciting, but we work with clients all over the world as well. We've done America a couple of weeks ago. It's really exciting as well, and it presents its own challenges. So as an organization, we think bigger to help organizations do better. And some of the organizations that we work with, we've shown here. So we've got some really lovely names that we work with. So we've got some kind of bigger names. We've got kind of Lego and Yodel and Sainsbury's. And then we also work with some smaller charities as well, that sometimes you get a little bit more creative freedom when you get big organizations. They also have their own marketing teams, which can, they'll have their own say as well. But it's so lovely being able to work with different clients as well. So you get in-house organizations. When you work in-house, it's kind of, you're working on one brand and you get to know them really well. But I think what we love as being part of an agency is that you get to work with all different people all the time. So it kind of keeps things really fresh and interesting. As part of our work, we've won awards as well. So this is our sort of slight showing off bit, but just to show that, we work with people who really know their stuff as well. The awards night's a really nice way for all the industry to get together as well, and see the best of the business really, and see what everyone's doing. It's always really good, really inspiring night. And as an organisation, we also shape inclusive cultures. So Hafsa will talk a little bit about that. That's her bit of the business, that support people to be their best, including us. So really nice place to work as well. So we've got 4 people with us today, and we're all going to answer our kind of top 10 questions just to give you a bit more of an idea of what we do here and how we all work together. So what we'll work on is anything and everything really. We've just given a really top level overview. So we could do creative concepts, that's all the ideas stuff, marketing toolkits, social content, insight data, media, working with clients closely, workshops, anything and everything that our clients need, we'll get involved in. And we're also B Corp, so that's something that we have to apply for externally, and it just shows that it's really about our purpose. So we believe people and organizations thrive when when opportunity, reward and progression are equal for all. So it means we have to kind of prove that we use our business for good and meet high standards as well. And it kind of adds an extra kind of dimension to what we do as well, because we work in recruitment side of marketing. It's really nice that you're kind of selling things that people really need. You're promoting things that people need, which is kind of jobs and education. And it really kind of speaks to our purpose as an organisation as well, that you get to do that. So at SMRS, there are more of 100 of us who all work together. So this gives you a bit more of an idea again of kind of all the different types of roles that you can do in an agency. I think it's about 100 of us, but the roles are really, really diverse. And whatever your skill set, you can kind of find somewhere really within a marketing agency to sort of bring that to life as well. So a little bit more about how we do that specifically. So the 4 of us here are from different areas of the business. So we'll answer our top 10 questions. So I'll kick off because I'm already talking. So my name's Gemma Wild Goose, most ridiculous surname in the world. And so when I was at school, we're all going to answer the same question. So I'll do this really quickly. So when I was at school, I wanted to be a florist until I got hay fever. And then I wanted to be an artist and a journalist. So now I'm a creative copywriter, which is kind of a bit of both really. So my official job description describes my role as developing creative strategies, concepts, copy and campaigns and content that are informed by insight for a range of clients, and building relationships with them by taking briefs and presenting back. But what that actually means is I come up with loads of ideas on the best ways to get people excited about picking a particular university or a place to work or a charity support. And then I write it all, whatever they need. I got into it by I did art, English, and graphic design at GCSE and then at A level. And then I did an art foundation course at Manchester Met Uni. And then I went on to do a degree course at Leeds Beckett Uni. And then from there, I did some free creative work for charities. I just got in touch with them and local businesses just to build up my portfolio and get myself in that kind of world of work. And then I sent quite a quirky mailer out to creative agencies that I like to get them to see me and to see my work. And eventually I got an in-house job at a direct mail company. It's a bit like junk mail to build some professional experience. And then after a couple of years, I got a job at my first great agency. But number 6, you can also get into it by applying for young creative competitions. There's lots out there and it can get yourself noticed as long as you can back it up with other examples of your work. What surprised me about working in the creative industries is how much your job changes all the time. So new social features, new trends, adapting to whatever clients' needs, leading focus groups, doing this kind of thing. It's kind of anything and everything. So number 8, what I wished I'd known before I was starting out is that you don't need professional experience to come up with the best idea in the room. So you can, fresher thinking and putting yourself in the mind of a target audience can actually come easier if you're younger, if you're kind of in that space already and you're still really excited by cool stuff and creative innovation. So be really confident in your ideas. The best piece of advice I can give you is if you want in a creative role, ask 10 of your mates to send you a brief of something completely random to promote. So that way you won't just pick easy stuff or stuff that everyone does, and then actually do it as though it was a real job. So do your research, chuck loads of ideas at it, and bring your favorite to life across different platforms, social media or online banners or billboards or anything. And it'll build your creative portfolio up really quickly. It doesn't need to look really polished. And it doesn't need to be full of actual real clients. People just want to see your ideas, really, when you're getting into the world of work. That's what I would look for when people come to us. I just want to see their ideas. And I'll pass to Amy in a minute. So I work with Amy on research. So we might need to understand more about our target audiences or the client's organization or competitors or anything really. So I work with Amy and our research and insight team on things like focus groups, surveys, interviews, and then we spot the key themes that come out of it all. And then I would take that away and bring it to life creatively. So I'll pass on to Amy now.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy and I'm part of the Insight team at SMRS. So when I was at school, I wanted to be a teacher and this was definitely influenced by my mum. So it wasn't really what I wanted to do, but now I'm a data and insight specialist. And what that job description actually means is that I bring data together, visualize it and provide meaningful insight for other people. But what that actually means is I get given a lot of messy data, I transform it so it's actually usable, and that can be through lots of different methods. And then from that cleansed data, I then create pretty charts and dashboards for people. And that can be to help them target a specific audience, or it can be to track their reporting. And it just means that from that data, summarizing it into something that's easy to understand, they can then act from that information. And that's the more creative side, I would say, which is the creating of the visuals and helping to make something that people will understand, versus the more mathematical analytical side is the data transformation and analytics. So I got into this by doing a physics degree. That's my background. I have quite a STEM background, but you don't actually need that in general. So I didn't learn data analysis at uni or anything. I did that from the logic and problem solving mindset that I gained from my degree. So it's just having the right attitude, being able to try different things is the data analysis, and wanting to get to the root of a problem or summarizing a lot of data into one place. So I've kind of skipped also to how you can also get into it is we also have apprenticeship. So we actually have a data analyst apprentice that just finished his work here, so you could try that as a route. But there's also a lot of different analytical courses and that kind of sort around. But what you can actually try is actually do it yourself. There's a lot of free trials and free community learning pathways that you can do online. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff, you can Google, maybe Power BI, Tableau, those are the bigger platforms, Data Camp. There's a lot of lead learning that you can watch to test out if you're interested in this kind of work. And then what surprised me about working in the creative industries is actually the time that we're given to be creative. So this is quite different, I think, from other sectors that I've worked in, where people want you to have time to think about what you're making, what's best for client, and what's the most interesting or most fun way to summarize that for the client, which is quite different. And then what I wish I'd known before I was starting out is don't focus and stress too much on the small things. That is really hard, I think, especially when you're starting out. And in this kind of role, you see all the tiny little discrepancies where things don't match up or where things don't make sense. And actually taking a step back and thinking of the bigger picture is way more important than stressing over the tiny issues. And then the best piece of advice I can give you is just to keep trying. So try different solutions, different platforms, different roles, try working with different people. But then also, whilst you're doing that, don't be afraid to ask questions. And that's a very important thing. Be curious, ask people if you have questions, and they will give you advice that is helpful. But also, now this is a bit controversial, especially with data and analytics. I am not afraid of Google. AI is slightly different, but people have always done similar things before. So see what's already existing and then build on that. And then passing on to Holly, I work with Holly by giving her the supporting data for her work. So I'll help her bring together media tracking or tracking and analyzing applications from campaigns so that she can then give that information to clients.
Thank you, Amy. So hi, everyone. My name is Holly and I am a client manager at SMRS. And when I was at school, I wanted to be two things. So that was either a fashion designer or a paramedic, so very different spectrums. But now I am a client manager at SMRS, and my official job description describes my role as managing client relationships and overseeing project delivery across campaigns. But what it actually means is, as a client manager, I am the face of the agency to our clients. So I don't just represent the client services team, but I represent the whole agency. So Amy, Gemma, and Hafsa here today. And I really represent how we collaborate well together. And then I got into my job. So I studied business management at university. And then my first job was temping for Hobbycraft. And this was more of an administrative role. So it was quite boring filling out Excel sheets. But through this temping role, they offered me a job in their marketing and events department. And that really spurred my journey into where I am today. So since working at Hobbycraft, I've done some time in fostering charities. And then today I am in the agency sector at SMRS. You can also get into it by, so I think it's important, whilst all of us here today have gone to university, like university isn't the only direction into a creative industry. There's so many apprenticeships out there, and real world experience is really valued in nowadays. So again, if university isn't for you, there's different avenues which you can take to get to where we are today. So what surprised me the most about working in the creative industry is that the term creative really means so much more than your typical designer or copywriter. Everyone in the agency here at SMRS is creative in their own way, whether it's creatively analysing data, creatively looking at how we can understand and connect with our clients' audiences. And it's really inspiring to see how it comes together in a day-to-day. And then what I'd wished I'd known before I was starting out is that it's okay not to have it all figured out. I certainly didn't when I finished uni, and still now don't feel like I've got it all sorted out. But what's meant for you will happen, and your path will lead you to where you want to be. And my best piece of advice is just to say yes. So after university, when I was doing that administrative role, I don't think you'll get to where I am today. So you've got to be willing to start from the bottom, and maybe even start in a different industry that's not directly related to where you want to be in the long term. But you'll really gain some valuable experience. And yeah, if you show the passion, drive to your employer, they'll see real confidence in you and yeah, your future. And I work with HASA, which I'll pass on to you, but understanding our client's current culture position and areas of growth. And then HASA will bring her cultural expertise and help us change organizations the better.
Thanks so much, Holly, for that. So I'll go and pick up on the first question. Holly has put a bit of a pressure on me that I change organizations for the better, but I don't do that on my own. I work with people that you see on the screen and with larger organization to make that happen, because it's so big a job. It's not a one man's job really, and that is how we come together as well. So when I was at school, I wanted to be a doctor. Because my father was a doctor, and I used to make those very nice frequent trips to his clinic where it was set up. But soon I realized that I cannot see people in pain, let alone those surgeries and whatever happens in the field of being a doctor. So now I am a culture consultant. My official job description, well, I have a very literal one, which I'm very thankful of to SMRS for having that figured out to me. It makes it a bit easier for me to describe what I do. I basically literally help organizations make their workplace cultures better. What that actually means is that I work with people for their people. So I help organizations become better workplaces for their people, so that their people can bring their best selves at work. They can give their utmost at work, and really their people can drive the organization's growth and success. What I help organizations and people is that I help them build an understanding and awareness of themselves and the environment they are in. So the most inspiring part, or the most, not inspiring part, most fulfilling part for me of my job is that when I help people get a bit of a perspective of what they're doing, how they see their organizations, how they work with their colleagues. The best part is when they get inspired by anything that I have to share with them. When I bring people together in the room, that is where I get the real kick from. I got into it by really, after my graduation, I was looking for a consulting job. After my graduation, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was sure what I did not want to do. So I was sure I wouldn't be able to do something that was monotonous, something that would be related to implementation of policies and practices. That wasn't the thing for me. I was sure about it. I needed creativity in my career. I wanted variety in my career because I knew I would get bored with something monotonous or repetitive. So that is how I got into the field of consulting. I started off with being a management consultant. And over the period of time, I found this niche for myself where my genuine feel and care for people, how this shows up in my career as well. And that is how I've become a culture consultant now. You can also get into it if that appeals you. You can also get into it when I see my other fellow culture consultants in the industry. They usually have a degree or a qualification in business psychology or behavioral science, or they might take a route from what I have taken, is from management consulting or a consultant really to culture consulting. What surprised me about working in the creative industry is that, in being on the creative service industry side of things, is that feedback is the most unwanted reality of this industry. It makes all the more sense when there's an exhibition out there and there's just art pieces where the artist is not there to collect the feedback. It's just there for display, because your creativity can get the best of you if you have that feedback, which is the reality of this industry and reality of being a professional in a creative space. So that's one thing. But related to what Amy also said, it's just the mindset and attitude that you need to have, the right mindset and attitude, and the resilience as well, to be able to have confidence in your creativity and yourself as you navigate through your career path. What I wish I'd known before I was starting out is that you will not have it figured out even 10 years down in your career, or even 15 years down in your career. And it's okay to be that way. Sometimes it's even better to be asking questions rather than appearing as an expert in that room. Sometimes it's helpful to be asking questions, being in that space of being a learner in that situation. And I say that even coming from a place where most of the times when I'm in the room, I'm being looked at as the expert culture consultant. But even then, sometimes I find it even more useful to be asking questions rather than giving an advice or a recommendation. So it's okay to have things not figured out as long as you know how to get to that point. The best piece of advice I can give you is that what I have learned personally and professionally as well, is that you don't know what you're capable of yet unless you put yourself into situations of stretch and challenge. And in those moments of stretch, you really realize what you are capable of. So that is what usually would be my piece of advice, is that don't let challenge or that feeling of being uncomfortable, don't let it limit you. Once you are through it, you'll really realize what you are capable of, which you wouldn't have even thought of. So just deal anything with confidence in yourself. So that is a bit about me and my experience. And I work with Gemma, where I share all my thoughts, sometimes scattered, sometimes a bit too much, haywire thoughts with Gemma. And being a creative copywriter that she is, she shapes them up somehow. I don't know how she does it, but she helps me tell my story in a way that connects with people, that brings about the real change, that brings about the excitement in the room, really. That is how Gemma helps me in my role. So I'll just pass it back on to her, where she started us off with.
Yeah, I've only got a couple of seconds. So it's just to recap, really. So our top advice is for creative roles: practice, really. Sharpen your creative thinking, develop your skills, build your portfolio by just putting the work in and all kind of briefs. It doesn't have to be real clients, as long as you're kind of practicing and getting yourself thinking and honing your skills. For all roles, be open to unknown roles, squiggly career paths. You don't have to kind of go from here to here. You can go like this. It's totally up to you. That's where the excitement happens. That's where the adventure is. For life, just say yes. So be willing to start from the bottom up and start your journey in a different path. So you'll get really good experience just making the most out of everything. Just absolutely throw yourself at everything you can, really, because you don't know what you're going to learn. And for yourself, you don't know yet what you're really capable of, not till you're sort of stretched and pushed and put into out your comfort zone. So it might seem a bit tricky, it might seem a bit sort of stressful, but it's in those moments that you'll really surprise yourself your most and feel really proud of yourself and just how much you can do. Just be really confident. And that's it as well. So any questions, you could just pop them in the chat. That's totally fine.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you for listening.